We have a public hearing going on right now. The council meeting will be a little bit delayed. I don't think it's going to start right at 5. Yo. Oh, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
And you're not giving up anything on the ground.
So, yeah. With your...
Walk it down.
Call to order to the workshop session for the Common Council meeting June 19th, 2018. Workshop at 5:07 p.m. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams. Here. Councilmember Bamanto.
Here.
Councilmember Heenan.
Here.
Councilmember Civiletto. Here. Councilmember at-large Washington.
Present. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Since this is a workshop, we'll skip over reading of the privilege of the floor regulations. We'll skip over privilege of the floor. We'll begin with communications from the mayor, including disapproval messages. Anything, Mayor?
No, sir. Just want to clear the air. We have advocated for an opioid clinic here in the city of Dunkirk, and I'm happy to report to council that we received notice from the commissioner of Oasis in Albany that we will be approved for an opioid clinic here in the city of Dunkirk. And the site will have to meet with New York State regulations and all of our city codes. So I just wanted to state that for the record.
Will you be saying that as well during the council meeting itself?
I can.
If you could, that would be great. I'd appreciate it. Thank you, Mayor. Number 6, communications from the public and petitions.
Request from Dunkirk Midget Football League to have their annual Tag Days fundraiser on Saturday, August 4th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the following intersections: Central Avenue and 4th Street, Central Avenue and 5th Street, and West Doty Street near the Fire Hall.
Any discussion during the workshop? Any concerns from any of the chiefs or DPW? Okay, I'll make my usual motion. Need a first? Councilman Mamanto with the first. Councilman Williams with the second. Number 2.
Request from Venetia Butts of 214 Plover Street to close off the entrance of the beginning of Plover Street to the end of Plover Street from 9 a.m. till 10 p.m. on July 4th for a neighborhood celebration. Sound and/or music amplification will be utilized.
Any discussion, council? Any questions or concerns from any of the chiefs or DPW? Okay. Make my usual motion. Need a first? Councilman Williams. Need a second? Councilman Civiletto. Number 3.
Request from the Martinez family to set up a 30 by 20 tent on Sunday, July 7th at Point Gratiot in the northeast corner of the park as to not encroach on others. The tent would be set up by PD's Tents.
Any discussion, council? I'll make my usual motion. Need a first? Second? Number 4.
Request from Renee Griffith to have a bounce house at Cook's Pavilion at Point Gratiot on Sunday, July 15th for a family picnic.
Any discussion, council? Make my usual motion. Need a first? Councilman Bamanto. Williams with the second. Number 5.
Request from Brian Meyer for the city to have a flea market every weekend from May 1st through Labor Day in the parking lot on the corner of Washington Avenue and Lakeshore Drive. He would need 3 trash cans and 3 cones each weekend.
Any discussion, council?
He is here if anybody's got questions. Brian's over there.
Brian's right here. He's the one, the gentleman who wrote the letter, and I had it. Made the copies to submit to you guys, and I explained to him that if the council passed it, that doesn't, as long as it doesn't interfere with any of the events, that I myself didn't see a problem with it, but it would have to have council approval, and I told the mayor, and he agreed to it.
Just thank you, Mr. Meyer. I think it's a great idea. Anytime we can have anything going on in the city and you see a need for it and you stepped up, thank you.
What are the times?
8 to 2.
8 to 2.
And he was there at the flea market during the Spring Fest, and he pretty much ran it for me.
Yeah.
We got him a couple barrels, and he pretty much did it himself, and he agreed to pick up the fees for the other vendors and turn them to us. And of
Is that
course, he's gonna
Saturday and
use it.
Sunday, or only Saturday, or only Sunday?
Saturday and Sunday.
Both days.
And he would do, the first couple of months, he would use the funds for his for $15 to do an ad, you know.
Do you have many vendors lined up already?
I've got 4 right
Yeah,
now.
let's just start.
I've had people calling me,
Yeah.
I've had people asking me during the flea market last week, are they gonna do this every week?
Yeah, good.
I'd like to be a vendor.
No, but the city is getting all the vendors.
And because he's collecting money, do we need him to take an oath or any type of, like, I know because that's when we talked about like picking up parking meter money.
I'm gonna have
We
them.
felt more comfortable.
He's just
I'm
gonna
gonna
do
have
it.
them
He's
sign
collecting
in.
from the vendors and bringing it.
I'm gonna have them sign in, okay, take their plate number, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, just want to make sure that everything's cool on your end and you don't get accused of anything or things stupid like that.
All right, any further discussion from council? Any questions or concerns from chiefs or DPW? Since this is a new event?
I instructed him, any events that might interfere with that, he'd have to, cancel the flea market until the following week.
Work around it.
Very good, thank you. Hopefully it becomes large and move it somewhere else in the city.
Okay, I would ask for my usual motion. Councilman Williams with the first, second, Councilman Civiletto. Number 6.
Request from Brian Madursky to use Ray Park basketball court on Saturday, August 18th, 2018 for the annual NCCY HA Street Hockey Tournament. Rain date August 19th, 2018, also requesting to have food vendors and a bounce house.
Any discussion, council? Councilman Bamanto?
I see they got an 8:45 start. Do you know when can you find out when they're ending? And that's also the same weekend as the boat race, which you were probably going to mention. And there's going to be a lot of activities going down there. Parking would be an issue. And, that's it. I don't have a problem with doing it. I just want them to be aware of what's going to be going on down here.
Since that is August 18th and there is some time between now and then, is this something that maybe we should table for further discussion with them due to
Yes.
the boat races and the parking and the time situation?
I don't mind them doing it. I just want them to be aware.
But
if you guys want to table
You're
it,
just saying table until we can contact them and
Correct.
see if
Give
there's
them
an
information.
alternative plan for them.
Yes, sir.
So
Is
Richard,
that correct?
can we table a communication
Or just send it back? And
Sure.
or just take
I
no
don't see
action?
why not. Yeah, just don't take any action on it. Keep it on.
FYI, that's, that communication, same days as,
That's what we just
the
talked about.
international.
that's why I'm bringing this up. Lots going on.
Okay,
down there.
moving on to number 7.
Notice of claim from Jessica Pensek for alleged damages to her tire when she hit a pothole on Warsaw Street on June 6, 2018.
Motion to refer this to the law department. Councilman Williams, second. Councilman Civiletto. Number 8.
Small Claims Court notice, Rebecca Merrick against the City of Dunkirk.
Motion to refer this to the law department. Councilman Williams, second. Councilman Civiletto. Loudspeaker applications, we have 4 loudspeaker applications. I will ask the clerk to read each of them off individually. We'll discuss them all individually. If there's no problems, questions, or concerns by any department heads or council, we'll then, at the time of the meeting, have one vote for all 4 of them encompassing. Clerk?
Henry Hooten Sr. to have a jazz band on Tuesday, July 3rd at 8 p.m.
Any questions or concerns from council? Discussion?
is it on the app?
It's on his application.
Same place here, that's for years.
Any further discussion on that one?
I am, and I'm invited.
Okay, B?
Domposki Club to use microphone amplifier speakers, band equipment on August 5th from 1 p.m. till 5 p.m.
Any questions or concerns or discussion, council? C?
Dunkirk Historical Lighthouse and Veterans Park Museum to use a loudspeaker from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. on August 17th through the 19th for the annual reenactment festival weekend.
That's the same weekend as the boat race too, huh?
Yep.
Wow.
Is
The
the
waterfront's
weekend.
gonna be hopping.
Yep.
They're definitely aware of that.
Any discussion? Seeing none. D?
Blessed Mary Angela to have a live band on August 12th from noon till 8 p.m.
Any discussion, council? Seeing none, during the council meeting itself, I will group all 4 of them together for one motion, and I will need that motion. Who would like to entertain it? Councilman Blanco with the first, Councilman Williams with the second. Yes, sir.
Boat race. No, we don't. No, they haven't done that one.
They're going to be using their own grounds?
No.
And that other,
Beach all time.
that other one with the basketball court, just remember Main, the Lakefront Boulevard.
We're not taking any action on that, because we're going to go back and talk to him and
One question. What's going to be closed though?
That Lakefront Boulevard, the show line.
Right.
From Main to Sterling.
yeah, so we're not going to take any action on that today. Number 7, reports of standing committees, boards, and commissions. Councilman Williams, anything? Councilman Blanco? Councilman Civiletto?
I'm sorry. No.
Councilman Heenan? I have nothing. Number 8, unfinished business. Seeing none. Number 9, pre-filed resolutions. Number 60.
Resolution for submission of PY 2017 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report CAPER for City of Dunkirk CDVG Program to HUD.
Any discussion, council? Anything that you want to say about it, Rebecca? Matt? No?
Nope, just the report kind of summarizes how our past program year went. All that information is available in the report if folks are interested, but I have nothing more to add beyond that.
Okay. Number 61.
Resolution authorizing participation in kayaks along Chautauqua/Lake Erie.
Any discussion, council, during the workshop?
Is this just a blanket resolution? It's not for the specific to that one.
It's
Is it
specific
specific
to
to
a
that?
grant that they're applying for.
It's for a grant application.
Any further discussion? Number 62.
Resolution authorizing agreement for consultant services for City of Dunkirk Smart Growth Capital Initiative Pier and Harbor projects.
Any discussion, council?
With the way this is written, with adding like the green space and with all the discussions are here, are we tying into how much green space needs to be in there? Or?
And also basically this resolution is to move forward with the design phase where then we hash out all those little details. So, you know, we'll be sitting down and deciding where the green space is, deciding where the parking is, all those pieces. But this
So
is just kind of the move us.
A yes vote on this doesn't mean that we're in favor of the whole end being a green space.
Right, that doesn't mean that we are approving that exact concept that we just saw.
Any further discussion, council? Number 63.
This one was this one amended.
62 was.
Resolution for authorization to amend and twin ground lease with Lake Erie Land Development LLC for new Wyndham Hotel and Restaurant Brew Pub out parcel.
Since this is contractual, we plan on having an executive session prior to today's council meeting. So,
now?
no, we'll do it right before the council
We're an
meeting.
open meeting.
Any further discussion on this?
I'd just like to, before we go out there, I'm ready to vote for this to move on forward. But I understand why you want to go into executive session. For the record, I'm ready to move forward.
Any other new business to walk in today? Motion to adjourn workshop.
So moved.
Councilman Williams with the first, second. Second, Councilman Bamanto. Clerk, call the roll for adjournment workshop.
Councilmember Williams. Aye. Councilmember Bamanto. Councilmember Heenan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any of you guys want to
Councilmember
adjourn?
Civiletto. Aye. Councilmember Elijah Wood.
Yeah, second motion to adjourn.
So adjournment.
We have another county water district. They want those accounts. And so I told him, you know, how we had left it, that you and I had spoke, and I had shown
See the removable
him,
barriers?
what was that, a week and a half ago?
Yeah.
What was involved,
See the
what
security?
information we had, and that you were going to research it.
I don't know.
Again, all they want is
They're going to have to work that out. I think they're going to have to come up with an additional plan to find out how to.
the other stuff when we talked about.
Too nice to do.
This is everything we talked about.
Do you need the sheet?
Everything we talked about 2 weeks ago.
So that Big Ten's for senior suite, huh?
Call to order the City of Dunkirk Common Council meeting for June 19th, 2018 at 5:30 p.m. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams?
Here.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Here.
Councilmember Heenan? Here. Councilmember Civiletto?
Here.
Councilmember at-large Washington.
Present. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Certification of the prior meetings.
This is to certify an official copy of the minutes of the Common Council meeting of Tuesday, June 5th, 2018, was presented to the mayor on Wednesday, June 13th, 2018. Pursuant to Section 3.03 of the Dunkirk City Charter, all items presented to the mayor are now in full force and effect. In witness whereof I have here to set my hand and the seal of the City of Dunkirk, New York, this 19th day of June, 2018.
I need a motion dispensing with the reading of the minutes.
So move.
Councilman Williams with the first. Councilman Bamanto with the second. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan? Aye. Councilmember Civiletto? Aye. Councilmember at-large Washington.
Aye. Before we continue on with our regular duties of business, Councilman Heenan?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to meet in executive session towards the end of this meeting.
No, right now.
Right now, okay. I'd like to make a motion to meet in executive session to discuss real estate, the proposed acquisition, sale, or lease of real property, or for the proposed acquisition of securities, or sale or exchange of securities held by such public body, but only when publicity would substantially affect the value thereof.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second to go into executive session? Do I have a second to go into executive session?
Oh, I'll second.
Councilman Williams with the second. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan?
Aye.
Councilmember Civiletto?
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Washington.
Aye. I ask that Councilman Heenan please keep track of the times when we open executive session, close executive session, and the fact that no new business will be taken care of during executive session. We'll be back shortly.
And Yeah.
Call to order to resume the Common Council meeting of June 19th, 2018. Executive session has now been completed. We will begin with reading of the privilege of the floor regulations.
The privilege of the floor shall be extended to any person appearing for themselves, in which case the individual shall be limited to 3 minutes. Shall be limited to 5 minutes. When recognized, please stand and state your name and address. The city clerk shall have the duty of maintaining such time limits, and the councilman at large may determine in his discretion whether individuals are speaking for themselves or representing groups. Councilman at large Wawushin shall maintain good order and may require any speaker to cease speaking if remarks are made in bad taste or are slanderous or non-germane to any action taken or contemplated by council. The time limit specified shall be strictly adhered to, except that a speaker may be allowed to complete a statement or thought started before such time has expired.
Privilege of the floor is now open. If anybody wishes to speak, please step forward to the podium and state your name and address.
Good evening. I'm Steve Reese. I'm representing Revitalized Dunkirk, located at Post Office Box 107 in the city of Dunkirk. I wish to bring several items to your attention this evening. These comments were actually intended for the last council meeting, but were delayed due to a technology issue. First, you may have noticed the recent installation of this season's hanging baskets along Central Avenue and 4th Street. On behalf of our beautification committee, I want to extend our thanks to the city of Dunkirk, and in particular to Randy Woodbury, Ken Seck, Russ Tennemore, who facilitated the fabrication of additional basket brackets this year, and who see to the ongoing maintenance of the baskets by regular watering and fertilizing. Revitalized Dunkirk is pleased to partner with the city to bring this attractive addition to our streets. And as well, we wish to acknowledge the efforts of Andy Bone and Matt Bork in assisting with the newly created Adopt a Garden program at various locations around the city. Several volunteers have already started work in some of those beds. Secondly, I wish to invite all here to the July 15th Bring Your Own Chair Sunset Watch to be located at the Dunkirk Lighthouse and Veterans Park. That will be at sunset on Sunday, July 15th. I'm also told there will be discounted Lighthouse tour prices available. Third, I wish to invite council and members of the city administration to the next Revitalized Dunkirk meeting to be held on 6/19, that's the day after tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. at the Fredonia Technology Incubator down on Central Avenue. Finally, Revitalized Dunkirk wishes all to know that only members of the board of directors of the organization or their authorized designees may offer comments and opinions on behalf of the organization. Comments and opinions offered by others do not represent Revitalized Dunkirk Incorporated and should not be construed as such by this or any other body. The comments and opinions of those not designated by the board are theirs alone and do not represent Revitalized Dunkirk, its board of directors, or the collective membership of that organization. I thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Anybody else wishing to take advantage of privilege of the floor, please step forward and state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Tamara Benjamin. I live at 51 Wilson Avenue in Dunkirk. I'm speaking as myself. I am a property owner and a taxpayer in the city of Dunkirk. And I first would like to thank Mr. Rosas and the council for the positive things like the development of our area, the festivals, and all the progress that is happening in our city. We really appreciate all your efforts toward the betterment of our city. I was born and raised in Dunkirk, and I chose to stay in Dunkirk and raise my family here. With that said, I find it very disparaging that you would consider placing a methadone clinic in very close proximity to the school that I send my children to. It will be placed 178 feet from where my children attend school and church. In this day and age that we live in, I understand the need to address the drug addiction issue. I do not discount this. I do believe this area could use something in that manner, but I do not think that placement is the best fit for it. I also am aware we are living in an age where houses of worship and institutes of learning are being invaded by violence. and the death of innocents like churchgoers and children. This is becoming more commonplace. To me, it is disheartening that this is being planned for our school, and I would really appreciate if you could consider, from the bottom of our hearts, to not place it there. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak and take advantage or privilege of the floor, please come forward and state your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Jenna Walker. I reside at 415 Eagle Street here in Dunkirk. My husband and I recently purchased our home here in Dunkirk. We moved in last spring. One of the big points of us purchasing our home here in Dunkirk was so that our child could attend NCCS for a Catholic education, which was our wish from the day she was born. Finding out today that the possibility of a methadone clinic being placed within a block or so of a school where my daughter attends is upsetting. I do feel very excited to live in Dunkirk because of all the forward momentum and the forward progress that Dunkirk has made. I have worked in Dunkirk for nearly 20 years as a dental assistant. So I've seen the improvements being made in Dunkirk. This, I don't feel, would be an improvement to our immediate downtown area or our waterfront, which we are working to develop our waterfront. I would like to, in my very short amount of time that I had to prepare for this, and I finished work at 5 o'clock, so I did want to read an excerpt from an article that was published in a newspaper in New Haven, Connecticut. It was in an editorial column, and it's quoted, "Police were bombarded with calls from residents concerning people congregating around the treatment area using foul language, public urination, performing sexual acts, using and or doing drugs, discarding drugs on neighboring streets. This type of behavior is offensive to children or adults, let alone children. And this kind of crowd," that's the end quote, "this kind of crowd doesn't belong near our school where children as young as 3 attend. You know, those children take walks during the day. I mean, we'd like to think that people getting treated at a methadone clinic are really trying to walk the straight and narrow, but the fact of the matter is, quite often, they're not. If they discard a needle on the street and a 3-year-old child that's taking a walk around the block with their class encounters a needle, a 3-year-old kid doesn't know what that is. You know, I mean, if one child picks that up, if it has fentanyl on it, I mean, that's deadly. It could be deadly. Those are the things to consider. One also major consideration is, and not generalizing, however, many drug users also have other problems with the law. Some of them may be registered sex offenders. If they are registered sex offenders, they would not be able to seek treatment at this clinic because of its proximity to a school. Somebody who is a registered sex offender cannot be within 500 feet of any school, playground, church, movie theater, any place where children congregate. Our school is within that 500 feet radius of this proposed site. So bringing a clinic that so many people could utilize to our area and then having maybe a small population, it may be a larger population, not be able to utilize that clinic because they're a registered sex offender would, it would be detrimental to that person's treatment. So I would really urge strong consideration of all of these other factors. One other thing I would also like to say is this is the only Catholic school in this whole county. And its numbers, we're struggling. We're struggling to maintain students. And we are working really hard to bring in more students. This is going to not work toward that goal, to bring more students into that school. And if this Catholic school closes, it's the only one in your county. You're going to bring in higher paying jobs with Athenex, maybe other things. Those people are going to look to buy homes here. When they look on Zillow and they see that the Dunkirk public school rating it's not real great. That could be the difference between them buying a home in Dunkirk or buying a home in Derby and commuting. If they have a public or a private school option, that is a leg up over the competition in the public schools. It's the reason I moved here, so that I could have a private Catholic education for my child. Please don't eliminate the private Catholic school option for your city. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. Anybody else wishing to speak, please step forward to the microphone. State your name and address. Anybody else wishing to speak, please step forward to the microphone. State your name and address. Last opportunity. Anybody else wishing to speak, please step forward to the microphone. State your name and address. Seeing none, the privilege of the floor is now closed. Communications from the mayor, including disapproval messages.
Mr. Chairman, I do have one announcement to make, and it was just that I did attend the Juneteenth festival this weekend. They were very impressed with the support that they received from the city, and I just wanted to make it known to council members that they were very thankful. I would like to address the issues that were brought up earlier. So as you know, when I first came into office, one of the first things I did was we reached out to the NCCS. I know that there's been some issues with enrollment numbers being low, and the city, under my direction, is looking to do anything that we can to help them. I know that it's the only Catholic school in the county, and we certainly would like to help them to stay open. That being said, you also know that I've been advocating for opioid treatment clinic here in this area. There are people dying from this epidemic, and you know, our state representatives have been helpful. The commissioner of the New York State Office of Alcohol and Substance Abuse Services did visit Dunkirk, and she did visit a few sites. One of the things that I want to assure the public is that in no way, shape, or form is the mayor responsible for bringing in an opioid clinic. No mayor of any municipality in New York State has that type of power or authority. In fact, if the state decides that they're going to bring one in, as long as they are not in violation of any of our city codes or New York State regulations, this council nor the mayor has any choice in that decision. So I just want to make that clear as we move on. I also want to let people know that the decision to pick a site was that of the provider in conjunction with the funder, which is the Oasis, New York State. So I want to make sure that the families here know that I fully understand, you know, their concerns, and I will do everything and anything within my power to make sure that we are addressing your concerns. I also want council members to know that the provider that they're looking to bring in is very professional. These people, there's a lot of stereotyping with these clinics where they say that people are out there congregating, loitering, and that there's needles and packages and things like that around. And I certainly would not support anything even close to that anywhere in the city, regardless of what location they would pick. So, you know, I again want everyone to understand that two things I want to make clear is that I support the NCCS. I understand their concerns, and I'll work with council to address those concerns. And at the same time, we have a very serious epidemic in our community that we need to address. We have an opportunity to address that issue, and as hard of a decision as it may be, we have to make the right decision here. So with that being said, I'd like to turn it over to our city attorney so he could give you a little more insight with the provider and what we should be able to expect.
Just a couple of points of interest. One is that the location that was chosen, again, is chosen by the private entity, which is the nonprofit provider of those services. The city had no say or authority to mandate any of that. In terms of zoning and planning, it is currently zoned as a mental health clinic, and so there's no use variance or any kind of need for them to appear before any city planning body or the zoning board. any changes they make are internal. In terms of the radius to the school, that's understandable, but also understand that that building is as close to an island physically, geographically in this city as can be, in the sense that it's not in the heart of a residential neighborhood. It is not next door to any facility that would cause or raise any kind of zoning concerns. And zoning laws were passed throughout this country to avoid clash of uses, so to say, that would engender those kind of concerns. And in this case, it's not one. I will say that we've been in contact with the provider. They're a New York City entity that has a Buffalo affiliate. The clinic that's in Buffalo is in the Lower West Side in the heart of a residential neighborhood, and there was plenty of concern before that went into operation. Plenty of public meetings were had, sponsored by the provider. And I can tell you as a Buffalo resident, I watched all that firsthand. And what I can tell you is that after all of that, the clinic is a well-oiled machine. The neighborhood is actually safer and the crime numbers are down from what they were prior. The loitering issues and the concerns that you rightly raise are not an issue. They have security surrounding the building at all times of operation. And I know personally some of the folks who were dead set against it, and their concerns have been addressed. And so I just want to put that out there as food for thought.
As a parent, I will not send my kid there. I spoke to 6 other families. 100% of them said they will have their kid leave that school if this methadone clinic goes there.
And I would also like to ask the question again about registered sex offenders.
If there's a registered sex offender, those laws still pertain. So that they couldn't be there.
To utilize that clinic.
Right. But you're also assuming that the two twain shall meet.
Why wouldn't this be put closer to the hospital, or there's plenty of other vacant buildings?
There are so many buildings
in the area.
That's not for the city to address. The city has no power in that. That's what I'm saying. Neither the council nor the mayor can dictate where they locate.
Just real quickly, it's my understanding that an article appeared in 2007 in the Observer. The old Flickinger building, which is a location further away from the school, was the #1 site that was location for it. And we as parents at NCCS are just now the last 2 weeks finding out that it's no longer the #1 consideration. They're talking about moving it closer to the school now. So how come that information hasn't been made public knowledge until just recently, with some of our family members actually getting to get that information? I mean, it kind of comes across as though potentially the council and some of the people are trying to bury this information and not let the public know what's going to happen.
Ma'am,
I can't tell you that.
I can honestly tell you, I found out about it this afternoon.
Same.
Mm-hmm. From a citizen. I didn't even know about it until this afternoon from a citizen.
So it doesn't have to go in front of us.
So where do we go from here? Who do we start? Whose door do I bang on?
That's
Who do I call? Who do I write a letter to?
The provider.
Can you help us?
The provider, you can reach out to the provider directly. I was in contact with them today once these concerns were raised and brought to my desk. I know that they've been in contact with the diocese, and I believe they've been in contact with somebody from the school. I know that they've been offered to come out and present to the school board, and also they've also invited representatives from the school and the diocese to come out and visit their site in Buffalo, to do a site visit. Unfortunately, that's a private issue. That's the city can't weigh in on that, what you do with your tuition money. I understand fully as a parent what you're saying, but there's nothing the city can do about that.
Isn't it true in other states, and I don't know about New York State, that a methadone clinic has to be, cannot be within 700 feet from a church, daycare center, school, playground?
That I'd have to research, but again, that would be a state regulation because those clinics are regulated by state law, not by city.
Is there any state regulation in New York State regarding methadone clinics?
I would assume that they would know that because they've already purchased the building.
But you should know. So do you know of this?
I don't deal in clinics, so I don't know that offhand, but I can look it up for you if you'd like.
I would appreciate that.
Sure.
I know, I did see that, and I mean, because of such a close proximity, I mean, you have St. Elizabeth Ann right there, and then we utilize
Not to mention Sunday school classes.
Sunday school
And
classes.
we utilize that parking lot as our track, because we have a track team, and that's where our children run track and practice. And they're within
understand the need for it. None of us are saying we don't need it. We just don't need it next to where our children go to school. And if there's anybody that can please help us, please, as taxpayers, as citizens here, please help us protect our children. Because who knows what's going to happen nowadays? You see it every day on the news. We don't need to put ourselves in a position that could possibly happen by putting our children in an element that they are not safe in.
And I would really like to know if that methadone clinic that's in Buffalo, is that clinic situated like on the same block as a school? And a playground?
It's a school that's surrounded by residences. It's in the middle of a residential neighborhood.
But residential
There's a playground
school.
across the street from it.
Yeah.
It's not next to a school. That's what our concern.
Which building do you think the clinic's going into, by the way?
At the resource center.
The Resource Center Mental Health Clinic.
Third and first.
The back side of that building butts up to our playground.
Which is.
Okay, if I can bring everybody together, we've sort of gone off our normal protocol of how we talk about hot button topics, but that's okay. I wanted everybody to get their voice heard. There's a lot of information coming at all of us right now, all at the same time, and there's a ton of unanswered questions. Like I said, I just found out about this afternoon, so I'm learning more about it listening to you speak. I know a few council people just found out about it this afternoon as well, and I found out about it from a citizen. So there's a lot of information going around. Some of it is correct, some of it maybe not so correct. I think at this point in stage that, since this is supposed to be the mayor's floor, and I'm speaking, I apologize, but I think what we're going to do is gather the information and the questions that we do have and do need and try to find out the correct information as to what's going on. As you heard the mayor say, he's been in contact with the clinics. The clinics have been in contact with the schools, and there's a lot of moving parts in all of this. So I don't know the answers. I don't know the questions because I don't have any of the information. But at this point in time, I would ask that the mayor and our council do their due diligence on this going forward so that the citizens and the parents of NCCS can get answers to their questions. May not be the answers you want to hear because it sounds like we may not have a lot of a choice in this except for maybe a rally or something, but one of those deals again in the city of Dunkirk. But I just asked the mayor and the council to please, answer as many questions as possible and do our due diligence so we can inform you properly. And that's, I think, the most important thing here is that everybody gets the correct information all at the same time. So that's where I'm basically going to leave that for right now. I know it's not a great answer. I know it's not a settling answer, but it's an honest answer.
Can I ask if there's a proposed completion date of this facility? So I can have a new school picked out for my daughter.
I want to reiterate again that the city has nothing to do with picking that site, okay?
I have a hard time believing that you have.
I understand that.
No at all.
I understand you're having a hard time with that because I can tell by the comments being made, but I can't emphasize enough that I don't have that kind of authority, believe it or not. But your sentiments are going to be pushed forward to those that are supposed to be hearing this. And if there's anything else that I can do, I will do it. And as far as transparency goes, this has been an issue that's been ongoing for years. So this is not a new issue. The fact of the matter is the state just made the decision, and so that's why things are beginning to happen.
So do I call Mr. Schumer?
I would call a state representative. Mr. Schumer would be a federal representative.
I did reach out to Governor Cuomo today, and according to the article that was in the newspaper, that you reached out to his husband, Noel, to find out about this program because of the epidemic in this community.
Did I reach out to who?
Pardon?
I reached out to who?
You reached out to I'm not going to pronounce it correctly, his Noel.
Well, I reached out to... All right, so what happened was I reached out to our state elected officials, which is I would recommend what you do too. But anyway, my sentiment was not put one there. My sentiment was to have a treatment center here. Currently, if you or any family member or friend of yours is addicted and would like to receive some form of treatment, that individual will have to find his or her way to the city of Buffalo to receive that treatment.
Currently, if anybody wants a Catholic education in this county, they have to find their way to Dunkirk.
And that speaks for itself that this is the last and only school in the county. So you have to understand the reality of the picture is that people don't want it in a residential neighborhood. They don't want it in the business district. They don't want it near a church. They don't want it near a school. And if you don't put it anywhere in any of these places, you probably will not put it here. And people will continue to die, and it probably will mean nothing to anyone until it actually affects you or someone in your family, unfortunately. So I understand the concern, Mr. Chairman. I don't know what else we could do, but I want to go and let you know that I'll do what I can to help this situation out.
Mayor and Richard, I just ask that you try to find the answers to some of their questions for them in the meantime, please. Questions that I'm sure we all have. So, anything else, Mayor? Any other communications?
That's it. Thank you.
Number 6, communications from the public and petitions.
Request from Dunkirk Midget Football League to have their annual Tag Days fundraiser on Saturday, August 4th from 9 a.m. till 3 p.m. at the following intersections: Central Avenue and 4th Street, Central Avenue and 5th Street, West Doty Street near the Fire Hall.
Any discussion, council? I need a motion to refer this to the appropriate departments as well as approve, subject to appropriate insurances and usual conditions. First by Councilman Bamanto, second by Councilman Williams. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan.
Aye.
Councilmember Civiletto.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Volusia.
Aye. Number 2.
Request from Venetia Butts of 214 Plover Street to close off the entrance of the beginning of Plover Street to the end of Plover Street from 9 a.m. till 10 p.m. on July 4th for a neighborhood celebration. Sound and/or music amplification will be utilized.
Any discussion, council? Seeing none, I need a motion to refer this to the appropriate departments as well as approve, subject to appropriate insurances and usual conditions.
So move.
Councilman Williams with the first, Councilman Civiletto with the second. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan.
Aye.
Councilmember Civiletto.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Volusia.
Aye. Number 3.
Request from the Martinez family to set up a 30 by 20 tent on Sunday, July 7th at Point Gratiot in the northeast corner of the park as to not encroach on others. The tent would be set up by PD Tents.
Any discussion, council? Need a motion to refer to the appropriate departments as well as approve, subject to appropriate insurances and usual conditions.
So move.
Councilman Williams with the first, Councilman Civiletto with the second. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan.
Aye.
Councilmember Civiletto.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Volusia.
Aye.
Request from Renee Griffith to have a bounce house at Cook's Pavilion at Point Gratiot on Sunday, July 15th for a family picnic.
Any discussion, council? My usual motion needed to notify the appropriate departments as well as approve, subject to appropriate insurances and usual conditions. Councilman Bamanto with the first.
Second.
Councilman Williams with the second. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan. Aye. Councilmember Civiletto.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Volusia.
Aye.
Request from Brian Meyer for the city to have a flea market every weekend from May 1st through Labor Day in the parking lot on the corner of Washington Avenue and Lakeshore Drive. He would need 3 trash cans and 3 cones each weekend.
Any discussion, council? Seeing none, I would need a motion to refer this to the appropriate departments as well as approve, subject to appropriate insurances and usual conditions.
So move.
Councilman Williams with the first, Councilman Civiletto with the second. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan. Aye. Councilmember Civiletto.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Volusia.
Aye.
Request from...
Hold on a second. Communication number 6, request from Brian Madursky is being pulled for today's meeting due to lack of information, and we need to get some more information from him.
Yes, sir.
So we will move on to number 7.
Notice of claim from Jessica Pensek for alleged damages to her tire when she hit a pothole on Warsaw Street on June 6, 2018.
Motion to refer this to the law department.
So moved.
Councilman Williams with the first, Councilman Civiletto with the second. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan.
Aye.
Councilmember Civiletto.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Volusia.
Aye.
Small Claims Court Notice, Rebecca Myrick against the City of Dunkirk.
Motion to refer this to the Law Department.
So moved.
Councilman Williams with the first. Councilman Civiletto with the second. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan?
Aye.
Councilmember Civiletto?
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vorship.
Aye. We have 4 loudspeaker applications before us this evening. I am going to ask the clerk to read all of them off individually. However, we are going to group them together as one vote since there were no questions or concerns about them during the workshop. Clerk?
Henry Hooten Sr. to have a jazz band on Tuesday, July 3rd at 8 p.m. Don Polsky Club to use microphone amplifiers, speakers, band equipment on August 5th from 1 p.m. till 5 p.m. Dunkirk Historical Lighthouse and Veterans Park Museum to use a loudspeaker from 9 a.m. till 9 p.m. on August 17th through 19th for the annual Reenactment Festival weekend. Blessed Mary Angela to have a live band on August 12th from noon till 8 p.m.
Any discussion, council? I need a motion to refer this to the appropriate departments as well as approve, subject to appropriate insurances and usual conditions. Councilman Bamanto with the first.
Second.
Councilman Williams with the second. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan.
Aye.
Councilmember Civiletto.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vorship.
Aye. Reports of standing committees, boards, and commissions. Councilman Williams, the floor is yours.
All right, the next DPW committee meeting will be next Wednesday, the 27th at 4 o'clock in the mayor's conference room. Also, the council should be on Viewpoints on WDOE on the 28th, which will be next week Thursday at 8:45. Hopefully all the council members can try to get there. I need to try to find out, Chief, you weren't here last meeting. I wanted to thank you for getting on top of the Second and Roberts Light and doing the study there. Do we know if the electrician was able to get there yet, Randy?
We've not got there yet. We've been wiring the splash pad.
Okay. Do you know when he might be able to get there?
Right after we wire the splash pad.
Okay. Any time frame of that?
Couple weeks.
Okay.
It's got to be done before we do the chip sealing. So the chip sealing, according to the street supervisor talking with County Highway, we're about 4 weeks off on the chip sealing because the county started in Jamestown with that and moving up. But we're going to do that. We have quite a few streets to do on that, and so the target is to get that loop fixed. I'd like to get it fixed as soon as possible because it's a traffic control device, but we absolutely have to get it fixed before we seal over it. So I would talk to the mayor about the schedule, but after we get the city electrician to finish the splash pad, which is a very popular item, we'll get him over and fix the loop on Second and Roberts.
All right. I'll ask again on July 3rd.
Sure.
The solar and wind study that we talked about, Rebecca, have you been able to find anything to do that, or maybe we can talk about something at the finance committee meeting tomorrow?
Yeah, as of now, no.
I'll put it on the agenda for you.
Okay, thank you. The deck at the boardwalk, has that been repaired?
We repair it daily, and there needs to be reconstruction on the northwest corner, and that's being worked on. So it is in repair. Is it reconstructed? No. We are working on it.
Okay, and then last for me for today, plus I'll also have this on the DPW committee agenda for next week. A plan for correcting the drainage in the backside of Otter Street there. We made a commitment to the residents there at that one planning board meeting that we would be fixing the drainage in the back part of it, and just wondering what our plan is to actually take care of that drainage back there.
We're going to do it. The mayor's committed to doing that. We said that at several planning board meetings, and it's not a simple fix. It's a problem that's been going on for a long time. We do see it. I met with some of the residents. We had one last meeting. He gave me a lot of information from being there for a long time. and we'll get within our city engineering technician and map that out, and I believe it's a solvable problem. We've addressed issues like that before, and I think we can do this one. Very optimistic about it, but if we got exactly when we're going to do that, I don't know. It's going to be this summer.
Okay, thank you. Like I said, I'll have that on the DPW committee meeting agenda also. Then I'd also like to just say to Rebecca, thank you. There's a lot of development in the works coming, and your office has been working very hard. I know that sometimes the comments from the public aren't so accepting to change, but you're doing a fine job trying to get some things going and make changes in the city of Dunkirk, and I just want to say thank you. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Councilman Williams. Councilman Bamanto?
Randy, do you have an update on Howard Avenue?
The beautiful granite curbs were installed at the beginning of the week and being leveled off and getting ready to pave. It's going to be a beautiful structure. I encourage everybody to go down and take a look at it. The mayor and I visited it regularly during the closing construction phases, but without any extra cost, we've added the bells and whistles of an architectural design that looks really nice, and we've removed all of the weeds that were in the way, things like that. We did find some industrial waste that took a little bit of time. We had 40 truckloads that went to the landfill on the northeast corner of that bridge. That's gone, so we'll never have to deal with that again. There was a little bit of a delay, but we're back on schedule. I'd like to compliment our water maintenance crew. They put 300 feet of 8-inch water line to replace the water line that had been embedded in the old bridge in 2 days. They worked, the mayor authorized them to work late into the sunset, and they did a fantastic job. We're really inspired by that crew. So I'd like to do a shout out to them for that.
Is there a timetable for this completion?
Next couple of weeks, you're going to see it paved, and then we ought to have a ribbon cutting. And if the chief would allow a fire truck to come to the ribbon cutting, it'll be the first time a fire truck's been able to go in that direction across that bridge in more than 10 years.
Now, I've been going up Lucas Avenue.
Pardon me?
Lucas Avenue, driving by Lucas Avenue, steel plant. I see the fences are down now where they were cleaning up.
They're closing in. They also got a late start on finishing up. It was supposed to be finished last year. They're doing finishing touches on their part. We've learned a lot about that site, and it's more optimistic than some of the meetings I had earlier been to. So I think that once they're out of there, we ought to have a really serious conversation. Maybe we ought to bring the DEC person back and see what we want to do there. It's more usable than some initial reports led us to believe. So I think a little bit of enhancement. It's a wonderful location. It certainly looks a lot better than it did 2 years ago. It's a lot safer. So we're watching that. When it's done, let's get together and see what we want to do with it.
I see there's an open gravel park. Can people park in there?
No, Councilman, what I'd like to do is show you the map of that area. With a brownfield remediation like that, there will be places where you can do A, places where you can do B, places where you can do C. So it's going to be subdivided into different areas. So offhand, I don't know what the gravel parking lot is about, but there will be things still in the ground. So we won't be able to build like a multi-story building there, but so I'm sorry, I don't know specific.
The question I have for right now, there's no fencing there right now. Can people just park there?
No.
Then we should probably fence that off or cone it off or something.
Yeah.
They're going to start parking there.
I'm glad you brought that to my attention.
That'll just start happening.
Absolutely. I'll take care of that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Also, sorry, the corner of McKinley and 7th, I see there was some work being done there on the road. Is that completed?
Yeah, so the second ward happened to be the ward that got the water main breaks this week. Perry and Chestnut had a water main break that the guys did a great job fixing today, and before they had worked on the break along West 7th Street at McKinley and Rosewood. So we got 3 water main breaks in the second ward fixed within the last week.
So
And
that-
And then the surface, I agree that we have the blacktop crew that comes through. To fix a water main break, they have to have the excavator there to take out the crushed concrete and put in there and make a good fill on that. When it's done, it's a beautiful job. But it's different than just filling a pothole. So I will find out when that's scheduled to be done, and I'll let you know.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Randy, instead of that empty chair there, I think we're gonna get a college dorm fridge and they let you load it up with water for every single council meeting, just so you have something.
Thank you, sir.
Councilman Heenan, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I wasn't going to have anything, but I'd like to ask Rebecca about one of the pre-filed resolutions. This is the participation of kayaks along Chautauqua Lake Erie. Now, I'm all, and she can go into a little detail for me. I do know something about it, but I need to be assured that, at this point, we're not sure where it's going to go. The parking, security, liability. I just like to be assured that all these issues will be addressed if we are awarded that grant. And if you can also maybe tell us a little bit about the grant also.
Yeah, sure. Chautauqua County is putting in for this grant application through the consolidated funding application that's due July 27th. 9 communities are participating, a certain amount along Lake Erie, and then a certain amount of communities in Chautauqua Lake. Basically, it's a part of an overall plan to increase kayak use on the waterfront. Kind of a blue way trail is what we're calling it, and we want to be one of the communities that's a part of it. All of those pieces will be addressed if we win the grant funding. We don't need our specific location yet. We'll figure that all out once we get the grant funding, but it's basically to increase recreation and obviously to revitalize our waterfront and to just keep it going. So.
And my understanding is that we do have the funding in place if awarded the grant, our part of the grant application. Is that correct?
Yes, there's a small match that each community would be putting in for, and there are different funding pieces that we'll be pulling to meet that match. So.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That's all, sir.
Thank you, Councilman Heenan. Councilman Civiletto.
Dave Campanola, HR. Can we get overtime for this meeting? I'm just wondering.
No.
Okay. All right. I had a question for. It's taken a long time. Rebecca, the splash pad. There's no fence around it. I was wondering if that's in the works, just because I've had some people say that it's kind of dangerous because kids are running their bikes through it, really, and it becomes a dangerous thing.
Unfortunately, there's no fence. You know, we're including it in the rules that are going to be posted.
Okay.
Please do not drive your bikes through it.
Yeah.
It's an open concept. We want kids to be able to relax once the grass is grown. You know, just open concept.
Councilman, I just wanted to add that we are planning on having somebody monitoring it once it's officially open.
Oh, cool. Okay, great. And I know we just, Randy, we just got a quote from people. I understand the dog park is taking longer than expected because we weren't allowed to use the parking lot that's already there, so we have to build our own culvert over the ditch that's so we can get cars into a parking lot that we're going to have to build. So is there any, did you want to speak to that, or did I just tell everything?
I punted the money issue to our superstar development director, Rebecca.
All right.
And I have full faith that she's, and people that are really inspired by the dog park, it's going to be great. And I remain optimistic about that. It's going to take more money than we initially thought, but I think with it, putting our heads together and with the enthusiasm of volunteerism in the city, we'll get it done.
Excellent. Just wanted to let everybody know that we're still working on the dog park. I have a lot of questions. That's it. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilman Civiletto. Finance Committee meeting Thursday at 4 p.m. We have 3 or 4 agenda items if you'd like to attend that. I'd also like to thank the citizens that came out to speak today during the workshop, or I'm sorry, during the Economic Development Committee meeting, not workshop, pertaining to the pier improvements. It is a change, to say the least. but hopefully we can become successful in that change and satisfy as many people as possible by listening and working together as a community on that pier project. As stated by somebody in the room there, we're never going to be able to satisfy everybody, but we're going to do our darned best to try to do so. I'd also like to thank the individuals that came to speak tonight on behalf of NCCS and their children. I used to be a teacher at NCCS back in the 90s, so I do know. I got one of my students in the back row there, ex-students I should say. So I do understand the proximity with the playground in the background and the basketball courts and walking the kids down to church next to the parking lot and things of that nature. So I do understand that. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more questions and conversations going forward with this. And again, I apologize, it's not the answer that you want to hear, but a lot of us are just truly learning this for the first time today ourselves. So I know that's not the best answer, but it's the honest answer. So I hope that there will be more communication about this. There is a stigma, let's face it. Whether we like it or whether we don't, there's a stigma about anything to do with drugs in general. So hopefully we can come to some type of conclusion that'll satisfy the masses, okay? But other than that, I'd like to thank everybody that came out to speak this evening. That's why we're here. Other than that, no new business before us. I need a motion to adjourn.
Unfinished.
Oh, pre-filed resolutions. I guess there is more business. Unfinished business. Seeing no unfinished business before us. Pre-filed for resolutions.
60, resolution for submission of fiscal year 2017 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report CAPER for City of Dunkirk CDBG Program to HUD.
Any discussion, council? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan?
Aye.
Councilmember Civiletto? Aye. Councilmember at-large Vawasha?
Aye. Number 61.
Resolution authorizing participation in kayaks along Chautauqua/Lake Erie.
Any discussion, council? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan?
Aye.
Councilmember Civiletto?
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Wawasha?
Aye.
Resolution authorizing agreement for consultant services for City of Dunkirk Smart Growth Capital Initiative Pier and Harbor projects.
Any discussion, council? Mr. Williams?
Yeah, I'm going to ask the same question I asked in the workshop. Yes vote on this doesn't say that we're agreeing to how much green space or whatever's going to be there or whatever the plan is. This is just moving forward to get the stuff in action so that we can look at it at another time and see what's there. So we're not okaying the actual plan that's there right now by voting yes on this. Okay. So.
Any further discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan?
Aye.
Councilmember Civiletto?
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vawasha?
Aye.
Resolution for authorization to amend and twin ground lease with Lake Erie Land Development LLC for new Wyndham Hotel and Restaurant Brew Pub out parcel.
I believe that's a typo. That was supposed to be a twin ground lease, not and twin ground lease. Any discussion, council? Councilman Williams?
I'm just going to say, because a lot of things that are coming up as change, this is one of those things that some people are going to like and some people seem to like that there's a green grass growing there instead of a hotel going there. This is not something that the city's putting up. This is the city actually putting a piece of the city property to use that is going to end up going on the tax base eventually. They're going to lease the land from us, and this is progress. And again, like I said, there's going to be some people that aren't happy with it, but this is a way to move the city forward and increase the tax base of the city, and I will definitely be voting in favor of it tonight.
Thank you, Councilman Williams. Any further discussion, council? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan?
Aye.
Councilmember Civiletto?
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vawasha?
Aye. Seeing no new business before us, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Councilman Williams with the first. Councilman Civiletto with the second. Clerk, call the roll for adjournment.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan?
Aye.
Councilmember Civiletto?
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Vawasha?
Aye. Meeting adjourned.